Hey everyone, this is just going to be a quick memory trick video to help you try to memorize sentence types once and for all, because I know that's something that a lot of us have trouble with, is keeping all of those different definitions straight. And there's a whole different video with a crash course on sentence types, so if you're still not comfortable with that information or you need to hear this info in a more detailed way, go watch that first or go watch that again. And in this video, I'm going to use the same 5 example sentences across several slides as I teach you different memory tricks or metaphors or ways to remember these rules. And here they are. The first one is just a simple sentence because I have a subject and a predicate plus a prepositional phrase actually. And I've got nothing else, no other clauses or phrases, so it's still simple. Because we've talked before about how the presence of a phrase does not change a simple sentence's status. You can add phrases all day long, it doesn't change which sentence type it is. However, if you add another independent clause, like in number 3, now we are a compound sentence. The presence of clauses is what changes a sentence type. I've got 2 independents joined by a comma and a fanboys conjunction. Number 4 starts with a dependent one and then has an independent. I've got 1 of each, so it's complex. And number 5 is similar to number 4, except it has a second independent clause as well, so now we're compound complex because I've got these 2 plus a dependent. So again, if you need help with sentence types, I would advise that you go watch that other video. So, probably the single biggest trick I could give you with identifying sentence types is to please color code or annotate in some way. Have a system of consistent highlighting or underlining or something. For example, on this presentation, I'm identifying dependent clauses in pink and independent ones in green, and I'm trying to underline phrases, at least some of them. So once you come up with your system, then you can highlight all of your text and memorize what combinations of colors and underlinings mean what. So if I know I've got 2 greens, that means they're compound. Or if I've got 1 pink and 1 green, that's complex. Or if I have 2 greens and a pink, that's compound complex. Whatever colors you want to use, I would really recommend that you color code. This is something that I do in my head when I look at any sentence, and it's the reason I'm successful as a grammarian, because I can recognize patterns. And color coding will help you make those patterns really stand out. And as a quick tip, I would suggest that when you're looking for those dependent clauses, whether they're highlighted or underlined or whatever, please remember to look for those awubis words. After, as, although, when, while, until, before, because, if, since. Those subordinated conjunctions are the most common ones. There's technically other subordinated conjunctions out there too, but those are your biggest tip to try to identify a dependent and know what color it's supposed to be. So please consider trying to notice patterns in sentences. If you can get good at recognizing those patterns, then you can try other memory tricks too. Some people are math minds and are mathematically oriented in their brains, so you might like trying to remember sentence types this way. If you are a formula person, you can try to memorize formulas like that S equals I or I equals S, or that S equals I plus P. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, hey, a simple sentence means 1 independent. They're the same thing. Or a simple sentence can be an independent plus a phrase. So my first 2 are S's, I equals S or I plus P equals S. For compound sentences, you can remember I plus I equals CP, which is like number 3. For complex sentences, you can remember D plus I, dependent plus independent. And compound complex, D plus I. So actually, compound complex makes more sense if you look at it as a formula, because I'm combining the properties of a complex and a compound, and I'm kind of using a Venn diagram to put them together into compound complex. Another kind of silly way you could remember sentence types is something that I actually do discuss in the other video, but I'm going to do it here again a little bit more concisely. I have kind of a dumb metaphor with families and weddings that helps me personally to remember run-ons and certain sentence types. So if you think of a single independent clause or a single simple sentence as an unmarried adult, and a single one with phrases as just an unmarried adult with accessories, so maybe a well-dressed one, then you can see number 1 and 2 down here as like one single adult. A compound sentence is like when two adults get married. See, for number 3, adult number 1, adult number 2, and now they're together. A complex sentence might be remembered to be like a single parent, because I've got one adult plus one child or one kid. I like to think of dependent clauses as children because dependent clauses can't stand alone. They could not survive by themselves. They're not a complete sentence. They need to be attached to an actual complete sentence or attached to an adult who will take care of them or finish them. And with that same logic, a compound complex sentence is kind of like an adult married couple with a kid. Now, this metaphor might work beautifully for some of you. And for other people, it might be even more confusing or create unnecessary complications. So if this metaphor doesn't work for you, just ignore it and move on. But it helps enough people that I like to bring it up as an option. But at the end of the day, all 3 of these memory tricks require you to memorize. It doesn't matter if you're just looking at color coding and patterns, or formulas, or complicated metaphors. You're going to have to memorize the 4 sentence types and what they contain in some fashion. I have made a Quizlet set for you, so you can try to use that repetition with flashcards. But if you do not break down these 4 and take the time to memorize them, they're never going to fully stick. So please do that, because this can pay off the rest of your life. Knowing those patterns of how to punctuate different sentence types will save you all kinds of pain and drama in your editing life later. So, thank you very much for watching this. I hope it helped even a little bit. And remember, it doesn't matter if you use one of these 3 methods or none of them. It's just intended to help. Thanks a bunch.